Can you see my screen? Okay, great. So let's move on to the first section, which is introducing outline of this presentation. First, we will introduce the H5P technology. Second, we will provide an overview of the gamification in teaching and learning and using H5P objects in the educational settings. And we'll also talk about design objectives using H5P. Then some resources will be introduced, and then we will demonstrating some possible application of H5P in different academic disciplines by CITL staff and technology coaches. We have designed some hands-on activities that we can play around and become familiar with the H5P. And then at the end, there would be some time for the Q&A and finally a quick survey. Let's move on to the first slide, which is introducing H5P. H5P, short for HTML5 package, is a tool that enables instructors to produce and run interactive content and objects within the LMS or any other kind of e-learning browsers and website. The whole idea behind the H5P platform is to create your own HTML5 content, share content across any H5P capable site, let's say Brightspace, reuse and modify an existing content in your browser at any time. Therefore, we can say that HP5 is open source, free to use, HTML5 compatible, responsive and accessible. Using H5P is beneficial for both learners and instructors, and it opens up new possibilities, provides learners opportunities working through courses at their own pace. For instance, using interactive video helps to replicate live learning experience, reduce the risk of scroll fatigue. For nonlinear courses, using microlearning or adaptive learning, interactive content often becomes a fundamental aspect, offering learners the chance to personalize their experiences. Studies suggested that using HP5 objects in course enables multiple channels of communication, increases engagement of learners, and facilitate approachability to the instructors. For example, HP5 interactive video is a possible solution for educators who want to transform passive video viewing into an active learning experience. Educators can create asynchronous lessons for students to complete at their own pace, and these lessons can then prepare a student for class conversation, critical thinking, and experiences and formal assessments. So let's move on to the next slide. H5P, a tool for gamifying learning. Gamification is applying game design features, for example, points, and game characteristics, let's say assessment and challenges, to generate positive outcome in non-game environment. The main outcome would be increasing engagement and motivation. Using game element, we can gamify our learning objective using H5P. That can be using progress bar or achievement that cause satisfaction for learners. Timer and countdowns increase awareness of the time and also urgency. Personalization that increase learners' engagement and motivation. For example, collecting feedbacks or comments within the object that you are designing. Micro interactions, which provide a nuanced environment reactions to learner actions through sound, subtle animation, and cool transaction screens. So here there are some resources for H5P. There are two approaches to make an H5P object. You can make your own objects from scratch using templates available on the H5P website, or modify and reuse an existing object in your course. In today's session, we will not cover talking about how to make an object from scratch. Instead, we will introduce you to the resources that enables you to use an existing H5P object, which is also applicable for beginners with H5P. So first, I want to talk about h5p.org page. It is a website that it is the main page for the H5P object. So I want to switch to the website. Now I'm going to stop sharing and switch to the website of H5P and show you how to use the existing objects from the website. So can you see the website of H5P? Great, thank you. This is the h5p.org website, which is the main resources for H5P. There are lots of examples and documentation here. For example, if you go to the examples and download, gives you tutorial and content, the list of content. There are more than 40 objects that in H5P that you can use. For example, in the interactive video, if you click on that, instead of tutorial and information which are available, you can use this object which has been embedded in the H5P website directly in your course site, or even modify it. For embedding, just simply click embed and use the embed code in your course, copy that and paste it in your course, or you can reuse it here by downloading as a H5P file and then again upload it in your H5P page and modify it and make any modification that you are looking for. So let's move on to the next resource that we can introduce today, which is eCampus Ontario H5P Studio. We are gonna put the link in the chat box, and also we will share all this information on the website that we designed for this event. Here in this website, there are a good collection for over 3,000 H5P objects that enables you to search by title, by the type of the objects, keyword, and even in different disciplines. For example, in any discipline that you can search and find the objects. Some of them are very nice, some of them are not. However, you can find those that might be useful in your course. For example, let's say an object that we can search. Let's say branching scenario. So, oops, there's a typo. So, in the branching scenario, within the branching scenario object and any discipline, we are not going to choose any discipline. So for now, if I just press the search, there would be more than 2 pages, including branching scenario in different disciplines. For example, health and development medicine. Let's click on the first one, and then okay, this one is not available. Some of the objects need registration, which is free, but some of them not. Let's say another one. Okay, this is an object that I'm not gonna play around, just show you that you can embed it directly in your courseware, or you can again download it and reuse it modify it for your own course that you're presenting. So let's move on to the third resources that I'm going to introduce, which is the Cooking with H5P and Pressbook. This website provides you with lots of tutorials and examples using H5P, and you can have access and again reuse some websited or links or objects that are available here, and also some tutorials. And the last resources that I'm going to introduce here is the website that we designed, which is a Google site for the Open Education Week. Here we put all the events that we designed for the Open Education Week 2022, Zero Textbook Free Technologies, and H5P Object. If you just move on to the H5P Object, there are resources that learning technology coaches and LTC staff made, and we posted here so you can use them and have example or play around for any experience using H5P. So I'm going to move on to my slide. And now we are gonna, in this section of the workshop, we will be showing H5P examples for different academic disciplines. First would be, I'm gonna stop sharing here. First would be, I would like to introduce Dr. Marina Greeneva to demonstrate the object used in the literature and culture. Dr. Greeneva is an instructor in the Department of Modern Languages, Literatures and Cultures, and also an instructional designer at CITL.
Thank you, Sapede. So I'm going to share my screen now. Can you see my screen? It's all good? Okay, so I'm going to talk about flashcards, H5P flashcards. First of all, what exactly is a flashcard, H5P flashcard? It's a type of an activity where you have an image paired with text, and so students are required to fill in the text in the box. In my case, it's over here where it says your answer, and then they click on check and they see whether the answer is correct or not correct. So you can design a single flashcard or a set of flashcards, which I did in my case, depending on the objective of the activity or the exercise that you would like your students to complete. And as Sapede has already mentioned, it is compatible with a variety of LMS, with a variety of platforms. In my case, I'm using it in my Brightspace course sites to teach language and literature and culture courses. So speaking of the activity that I designed and I'm using in my courses, this one specifically was designed for a literature course. The students were required to read a novel, Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, a lengthy novel, very interesting, but really long. And the novel contains a lot of plot lines, a variety of characters. It was very important for me to make sure that learners were able to memorize all the characters, to know all about them. That was required to understand the main ideas of the novel. So, and that is one of the activities that I posted to the course site. I just want to make a comment here with respect to evaluation. So it's not used for evaluation. It's used to either present the material or to help learners review the material. So what I wanted the learners to do is, and here you can see the instructions that my students see in the Brightspace course site. After reading the novel, I wanted them to review the main characters, and I usually provide a bunch of resources where they could do so. It can be handouts, it can be videos, it can be links to websites. In this case, it was a link to this particular website where they could have a look at each character's brief description. And after that, I want my students to play around with this exercise. So I provide the names of the characters. Why do I do so? Because H5P it's very sensitive when it comes to spelling, and I want to make sure that if they do not copy and paste but type in the names of characters, they don't make any spelling mistakes. So this is kind of a word bank for them. So they look at an image, and yes, the images here, they are creative work of a photographer who is a fan of this novel, of Bulgakov's work. So she created a series of fabulous images to illustrate the events, the plot lines and characters in the novel. So I use those, which are great visuals, and let's say students see an image, they see the description of the character, they pick, for example, the name from this list, or they can type it in, and they click on check and see if it's correct or not correct. So I'll make a mistake on purpose right now. They type in or copy and paste the name. If it's incorrect, they're provided with the correct answer. So the biggest benefit, and I see two biggest benefits here based on my teaching experience, is that first of all, it's visual learning activity. And that's one of the most important things I think, especially considering that I'm trying to follow the recommendations of universal learning design. And also, because students can go over and over again, they can reuse it for as many times as they want. They can complete the exercise for as many times as they want. It does enhance the retention of material. So thank you very much, and I will hand it over to the next presenter who will demonstrate one more H5P object in a different discipline.
Thank you, Dr. Grinova. Our next object is designed for geoscience and will be presented by Tim Leahy. He is a PhD student in geoscience and also a learning technology coach with CITL.
Thank you, Sapide. I hope I'm loud and clear. Yeah. Good afternoon from me, everybody. I hope you can hear my voice. I'm not. Okay, great. Thank you. So I'll be presenting yet another H5P object used in the geosciences. And this is called the timeline object. And I basically created this, I think, sometimes last year. And I would just like to put this out there also that this is not used for evaluation and is also not used for self-assessment. It is strictly informational that just gives, it's just like a digital calendar for students to go back and forth and then to know what happened when. So just as the name sounds, it is timeline. So one thing that I love about H5P Object is the fact that it gives the instructors to give special introductory message to the students. So in this case now, even though I'm going to be showing very fancy timeline slides, I still have the opportunity to tell my students what I want them to see, what they should anticipate, and then, you know, what, and of course, sometimes maybe when they are flashing through the slides, they do not really understand what a particular figure or what a particular number means. So I have actually brought everything down to the very basics just to give a background knowledge about it. And this is one of the reasons why I love H5P. And then, so this is just the introductory message. Like I said, now down to the timeline slide itself. So this is one important topic in paleontology. It is just about the history of our Earth and how various lives have evolved down to the modern humans today. So I'll just go to the beginning. Again, you have the opportunity to put links to special websites, probably where you found important messages or important figures, and then of course to give credits to original owners of whatever you are using, because it is very easy to breach you know, intellectual property standards when using figures or images on digital technologies like this. So now again, I have the opportunity to tell my students this is the beginning and this is what to expect in the next slide. And in this next slide, especially, I have the opportunity also to give my students images. So I can just put, for instance, I have a link to the image that I have used for this particular slide, and the students can just go there and they'll be able to see. So it is very fancy and it is straightforward. It's probably the shortest presentation you would listen to, but it gives, but this is a take-home message from me, especially on this kind of timeline object, that whatever you can conceive, it is on H5P. Just look for the appropriate object type and you will find it, and you'll be able to make it, even though it might take you several attempts, but it is pretty much straightforward to do. And again, I will just run down through the timeline slides, and it is very beautiful. No students should get demotivated seeing all of these things, and it definitely would engage them. Thank you.
Thank you, Temnehin. Our next example will be demonstration of H5P examples or object in computer engineering by Ali. Ali is a PhD student in computer engineering and also a learning technology coach with CITL.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ali. Welcome to our event. So today I would like to share with you guys an H5P object that I created and used in the image processing course. So now let me share my screen. I hope everyone can see my browser. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the image I would like to introduce is called image juxtaposition. And if you just Google image juxtaposition, the first result actually takes you to this web page, which is h5p.org. As Sepide mentioned, that's the main website for H5P project. So what is an image juxtaposition? As you can see, it's a tool that allows us to compare two images interactively. Basically, whenever you have two images and you want to put them next to each other, or in other words, overlap them over each other and let students or users interact with them and switch between these two images, you can use this object. It's very simple object, but it can be useful in many courses and disciplines. So here we have some examples. So here we have before and after flooding. So we have an image on the left side, which was taken on July 11th. And if I drag this slider or divider to the left side, you can see this image after flooding. Okay, we have one more example here. So here we have a galaxy. So this is visible light, how we can see this Whirlpool galaxy. But in fact, it looks like this. As you know, we can't see infrared light with naked eyes. Okay, so one more example we have in h5p.org website. So here actually we can see not only we can switch between these two images horizontally, we can do this vertically too. So now let's see how I use this object in the image processing course. If we go to our website and then navigate to H5P objects and then computer engineering, here we have edge detection lab. So in the image processing course, we have different computer labs. In each lab, we introduce an image processing algorithms or technique, and then we ask the students to apply that technique on different images or videos. So here we have edge detection, which is a fundamental image processing technique. And here I provided an introduction for students. And then I provided instructions how to do the lab. So first I asked them to download this image, which is actually our university. And then I introduce what type of function they need to use. And finally, I use this H5P object here. This H5P object allows me to put the RGB image, which is the image I provided to students, And the final results, this is what students should produce and submit it as for this lab. So I could put these two next to each other. And now they can switch between the RGB image and the edges of this image. So why I use this object, first of all, to make the content of this lab more interactive and interesting for students. Second, I wanted to motivate the students to do this lab. And finally, by doing this, I help students to understand the concept of edge detection better. In fact, when we define edges or edge detection, we define it as a rapid change in intensity. So for example, if you look at here, we have concrete, which is a gray, and then we have the roof of this bridge, which is green. So they have different intensities of brightness. When we switch from here to here, we have a rapid change, and we define it as edge. Okay, so students, if they slide this to left, they can see that's true. Exactly here we have edge. So it's very simple, but again, can be really helpful for different disciplines. I know we have some attendees from medical or nursing school. So for example, in that case, it can be really helpful to, for example, have an image of a hand on the left side and it's X-ray on the right side, so students can switch between these two images, and I think that's cool. So that's all from me, and now I'm going to pass it over to Javad, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you. Next object is H5P used in teaching languages and linguistics, designed by Javad. Javad is a PhD student in mechanical engineering and also a CITL, a learning technology coach with CITL.
Okay, thank you, Sepideh. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, depends on whatever time zone you're hearing me from, assuming you do. So the object that I'm going to talk about is regarding to one of the challenges we faced after we went to pandemic. I'm going to share my screen in a minute, but before I do, that object is a way to test students' pronunciation. And specifically in this object, you do that for French. I made a small video, and I'm going to stop the video at whenever it's needed and give more explanation about the object. I'm going to share the...
This is a sample H5 object embedded in Brightspace. It's a Mark Range 1500 comprehensive exam. Students can see the questions on their screen and they can press the push to the speak button to answer the questions, to test their pronunciation. For example, bonjour. If the answer on pronunciation is correct, we get 1 full star. And if not, we don't get the point for the question. Ça va bien. Let's say we don't know the answer for the next question, and we're just going to give a random answer to it. We don't know. As you can see, the computer can hear what we said and can compare that one with one of the correct answers. Lundi. And if your pronunciation is not correct, you don't get the point. Crayons. You don't get the point for this one. And the final answer for us was 3 out of 5.
Yeah, so in this object that I showed you, for each question, you can have like multiple correct answer set, and depends on if you, well, it's going to test both your pronunciation. For example, in last example, the answer was right, but the pronunciation was not right, so you didn't get any point. And the other thing that it tests is the correct solution. One benefit of having an object like this in, like, because you can do the same thing via Zoom meeting or WebEx meeting. But one benefit is when you do that, you're going to take away the stress from the students because it's like a mock interview. And the other thing is like students can do that in different time zones. Let's say you have a student who is studying in a different time zone, and which is like completely different from like the instructor. what you can do, you can give them the question, and they can, as Marina said, they can be used again and again and again. I'm just going to mention something before I pass it to the next person, that sometimes for H5P objects, in order to, just going to open up my, share my screen. Yeah. So this is continuing what Sepida said. This is like the object that I made. And if you want to use this one in your course, what you can do, you can go to this embed file here, and you can copy paste this code and use it like at your own page. But for this specific object and something like objects like these, what you have to do, I copied the object here already. What you have to do, you have to sometimes modify your code. In this case, you have to add this line to your code. What this line does is it gives your computer permission to record your voice as you speak. So like this line can be added like anywhere, within your code. In the object that we have in our Google site regarding to that French example, it cannot record your voice because of I guess it's because of the policy of the Google, but it doesn't mean that the object is not working. So if you face any difficulties regarding, that object, it's because of the Google policy. And I'm giving it back to Sepida. Thank you.
Thank you, Jawad. As Jawad mentioned, some modification needed, sometimes embedding the code in the platform that you are using. For example, using object for the survey from the H5P, it doesn't collect the feedbacks of the people who answer or respond to your feedback. So for that, you need to make or connect the object to the platform by using some coding, or have a pay for the account at h5p.com website. And then by this way, they will send you or give you permission to have access to those information. Next, Shivam is going to present an object that he designed in mathematics. He is a PhD student in mathematics and also a learning technology coach with CITL.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Sapida. So let me share my screen. Can you guys see my screen? Perfect. So the object that I created was this. It's an interactive book. So basically, most of the objects that you can create in H5P, you can, if you want a combined form of them, like if you want to use multiple of them and then just want to put it in one, sort of like an interactive book. That's what it is. Like you can have different pages, and on each page you can have different activities. This is the one on their website, definitely about berries. And you can go through, try different most of the objects that we talked about can be put, with some exceptions. So what I created was like in my field maths. So I basically created multiple objects and put them in. So it's what I liked is like some of the objects are like this slides, which doesn't reveal everything that you want in your steps, which sometimes make it boring. But if you have it like stepwise, it keeps students engaged. So this activity is just showing them how to construct surfaces. So it's like a practical activity that people can do and follow I've written the steps in the text, and they can follow these slider images to see how the object is being formed with each step. So once they have done, they can go to the next page, the next slider. So it's kind of like a whole module they can see. So the next kind of H5P. So these are all H5P objects put together in this one H5P. So the next object is kind of like guess the answers. So you can have some image and they can guess it, but the answer won't be revealed. Only if they click it, they would know what that object is. And one of the other thing is like it allows you to keep many things together. Like for example, in this one, I took a GIF from internet and put it in there, just showing them the process again. So it really allows you to put many media objects make the stuff interesting for students. So, and other things is just you can put some videos in to show more about your books. So it's allows you to just basically put a lot of things inside, and then you can also embed an actual internet page right in there, so that they don't have to click the links and go somewhere else. They can watch the video within this module itself. They can read about the text from internet within this module itself. So it allows you to give them a complete homework module to go through. And the good part is it's interactive, so it keeps them engaged. And that's all I have to show today. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivam. Our next object is designed for oil and gas engineering and will be presented by Farhana. Farhana is a PhD student in process engineering and also a learning technology coach with CITL.
Thank you, Sepid. Yes, and welcome you all. I'm going to share. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to show example from drilling engineering course, and here a lot of examples there. Particularly, I'm showing two of them. One is drag and drop. This activity, and here what it says. This is an example that talks about typical mud drilling system, and here there are some important components there. So when instructor gives a lecture, students understand that, but also if the students get an opportunity to engage themselves in the study, then it helps them to deepen the understanding. Considering that concept, the concept is here. So what you need to do, drag the important components from this sheet and then put them in the right place so that you can understand the whole concept. So just the example, I'm just putting this one here. This is the mud nose. This is the mud pit, mud pump here. This is the drill bit, and this is the BOP. And also you can check the answer, whether your answer is correct or not. And you can see that two of them are incorrect, and it can give also the option to retry it. So if you retry, and then you can do the whole thing again. So through this way, you can understand the whole process. And also another example is that about interactive video. And here, while this is an YouTube video, and in this video you can put some questions in the when you play the video, and answering that questions, it also helps you to understand what you have listened to the previous portion. Let's see how it works. So just play the video here. This one. One more thing, also the builder can also insert an option, like if anybody needs to needs more materials about that, then they can put the link here. And if you click the link here, then it will open in the different window. So let's go back to the one. So let's play the video.
Shell Deepwater is fueling the growth of upstream Americas by safely developing new reserves and maximizing the potential of its existing producing assets in the Gulf of Mexico, Brazil, and Venezuela. Drilling a safe, deep-water well can take years of planning and preparation.
Here you can see that after some time, then the question pops up and you can answer what you have listened to the video. So suppose here the answer is, so I'm clicking around 1 year, and then I can check it. And if the answer is correct, it shows the answer green color. And also I can continue from that portion.
Identifying potential oil
I'm just giving you one more example.
Beneath the seafloor using seismic technology, a drill site is selected.
Here, suppose if I put in a wrong answer, then suppose this one I'm checking it, And also, it doesn't mean that you cannot continue. You have different options here. Like you can see the solution, you can retry again, or you can continue from this point. So this is how it works. And also another portion is that I'm not playing the whole video. If I go to the end of this video, then you can see here, one thing is appear that it opened the summary dialog. So from this point, you can also learn that what are the main topics or the main points are discussed in this video. So these are the like summarized version of this video. Yeah, that's it. That's it from my side. And thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Farhana. That was great to see some examples from different disciplines. We have designed one last demonstration for application, which is the branching scenario for physical and analytical laboratories. I'm going to go through that very fast because I want to save some minutes for the Q&A that I'm sure we will get some good discussion and question. The object branching scenario is a flexible content type that enables authors to present a variety of rich interactive content and choices for learners. Learners make choices that determine the content that they can see. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So under the H5P Object website, we have put this object, which is the branching scenario. We design it for the physical and analytical laboratories. It enables a student to decide about what sort of analytic they want to perform. And regarding that analytics, they would get some information and also help them to make and also familiarize them with the basics of doing those experiments. So let's start the course, and then I will show you some features of this tool. This is the introduction slide that I also linked it to the virtual tour that is a 360 image that we designed specifically for that lab. So once a student's playing around with the branching scenario, they also have option to come here and see, for example, all the equipment or analysis that we are going to introduce in the branching scenario here as well. And once they get to the lab, they know that where they can find those instruments. For example, the first one is a NMR equipment that is placed here. Yeah, good. So I'm going to go back to the branching scenario and just show you how it works. First question is the main question that would divide, would make it that the student need to make a decision between three different categories of analytics. The first, qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis, and wet lab. The result of this analysis would be different. Let's say a student say that, okay, I am more interested in quantitative analysis that provide me some information and statistics about the mixture or the component that I am working with. Once they come to this section, there are different methods for quantitative analysis. For example, molecular analysis, corrosion, ionic, and elemental analysis. They can choose between different 4 analyses, or they can go back to the previous branch. Let's say it is a molecular analysis. For conducting molecular analysis, a student can do that using capillary CE or UV spectrometer, HPLC or GC. They can choose any of this method and find out about them, or they can go back and try another analysis. Let's say they say that they choose HPLC. HPLC I have designed a slide form for this object that gives different information regarding this method or analysis. Course presentation, text, image hotspot, interactive video, and video can be embedded or be used in the branching scenario. And at the end, there is a video giving information about how to conduct the HPLC method. Once they reviewed all the section, they can proceed, and now they have the option to go back and choose another analysis, or if they might say that, okay, that is enough, I have enough information that I have, they can press no need for further analysis, and this would be the end of this course. Branching scenario have the benefit of being highly interactive because it constantly challenges learners to make different decisions, as we reviewed it. And branching scenarios have can provide them with the benefit of categorizing of different information, and they can simply decide about the objects or the target that they are looking for in the discipline. And this is applicable in many other disciplines, let's say medicine or even engineering and any other course that it might be useful. So I'm gonna stop sharing now. And move on to the hands-on activity. So we have designed some hands-on activity that give you the opportunity to play around with the object that we designed for this event. I would ask my friend Ali to share the link of the website with you. So again, I'm going to share my screen, and then I will move on to the H5P objects. Once you come to or click on the Open Education Week and on the H5P object, there is some hands-on activity that I already reviewed the branching scenario. You can play around with the virtual tour and memory game and share your experience in the Q&A. In the virtual tour, provide some information regarding TLX, which is a Teaching and Learning Exchange Model Classroom, that this is the place that we work at CITL, some information regarding services and any previous event that we had are available through hotspots or through the arrows that is provided here. So you can play around, and I'm gonna give 2 minutes to play around this activity, and then we can move on to the next object. Please let me know if you have difficulty to get access to the website that we designed for this purpose, or if you have any question regarding this object.
Thank you, Sapita. So I'm gonna move on to the next object that we designed.
for hands-on activity, which is a memory game. It is a traditional game for that can be used for in different disciplines, especially for memorizing or giving some information. In this activity, we matched the country flags with the cuisines, special cuisines of the countries. Just click on two cards and then find the matches of the pictures. There is the time spent counter, that timer that shows the time that you spend on this activity, and also the card turns that shows the number of time that you click on the cards. For example, I'm gonna just click on, and it was mentioning that each time you play with the cards, the order of the cards would be changed. So you cannot, next time you're playing, the position of the cards would be different. So for example, the first image that I clicked, and then the second, by chance it was the same. It was from Germany, and also it provides a short sentence or a paragraph information about this object. Here I just try to give it fun, to have it fun, and pretzel and beer. So you can play around for 1 minute because we are almost at the end of the session, and then we can move on to the Q&A. Again, thank you everyone, and I'm gonna close the event now and hope that you enjoyed this event.
Thank you, Sepide, and thanks everyone.
Yeah. Thank you all.